Hello. My name is Rick, and I have dementia. I like to say that, 3 words, I have dementia, because a lot of people that I know that have dementia have trouble saying that. I like to tell people that denial should be a symptom of dementia because it's so prevalent in this disease. Long ago, I made peace with this disease that I have because there was no other thing to do. My wife had to struggle with it for several months, but when I was diagnosed back in 2010, it was actually like someone lifted a weight off my shoulders. I had issues with my memory probably 4, maybe 5 years before my official diagnosis. And the diagnosis didn't change anything. It just enabled me to tell people that I do have dementia. The neurologist I went to said I have mild cognitive impairment / EOAD, which was early onset Alzheimer's disease. And I remember being starstruck. What are you going to do? I mean, we walked in the office one day and we walked out and I have dementia. And it was a very quiet ride home. Everything changed that day. But I remember telling our daughter, and of course she was devastated, but what you have to understand about dementia is, especially in the early stages and when you're first diagnosed, my life really just started that day. I say that because I was in, like I said, law enforcement EMS for many, many years, and a lot of things happen in them career choices. But when you have dementia, and when you're told it's a fatal disease, it's terminal, it's slowly progressing and things like that, you listen and you learn things. I now hear birds sing. I didn't even know birds sang, but I hear them sing, because I pay attention to things. I take every day as it could be my last, because I don't know if I've got like 3 months or 3 years to be able to communicate like I can now. It's very important for me as a patient to tell folks like you what I go through, so maybe it will help you as a caregiver. I struggle with this disease 24/7, there's no break. I've done some really crazy things, and I've done some things that I shouldn't have done because of my memory. I'll give you a little rundown on them. I remember a few years ago we was going to put down hardwood floors in our house. And I told Phyllis, I said, well, that's a great thing. What we'll do is we'll get the carpet and we'll rip the carpet up. She's like, yeah, we'll get to that. Well, she works 24 hours a day on Saturday. She runs squad. So she went to work Saturday morning, and I got a hold of her niece, who is 18 now, but at the time she's probably about 15. And I'm like, have we got a deal? She said, what are we going to do, Uncle Ricky? I said, we're going to rip the carpet up in the house. And she's like, did you tell Aunt Phyllis? And I'm like, no, that's the best part of it. It's a surprise. It was a surprise, trust me. So I took my handy-dandy X-Acto knife or whatever they are, and I started cutting away and pulling away, and I did the front room, and I did the hallway, and I did the bathroom, and I did the bedroom, and I pulled up all the nails, and I was so proud of myself, because I knew I saved us a couple $100 anyway. So Phyllis got off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I usually up about 5:30, and from 5:30 to 8, I started to have this little thing in my head tell me, you may not have done the right thing. Timing is everything. So when she got home, I met her in the garage. And I'm like, have I got a surprise for you? What did you do? And I'm like, it's a good thing. Trust me, it's a good thing. Well, you walk through our kitchen, or the garage into our kitchen, and obviously she could see the dining room right away. And I like to tell people the look on her face was a lot of things, but it wasn't a surprise. She's like, Rick, what did you do? And I'm like, we're getting hardwood floors. I pulled the carpet up, save us some money. She's like, we're not getting hardwood floors tomorrow. We're not getting hardwood floors next week. It'll probably be 3 or 4 months. And I'm like, oh. So every time my darling wife put her foot out of bed on the subfloor of our bedroom, I winced. It winced. It was bad. I shouldn't have done that, but I did it out of good faith. I thought I was doing something well, and I wouldn't have done that years ago. Many things I've done like that I regret. I remember one time I was shopping on the internet, which is something I'm not allowed to do now, and I haven't shopped on the internet for probably 2 years or so. I decided one day I needed some khaki pants. I didn't know why, but I wanted a couple pairs of Docker khaki pants. So I got on Kohl's website and I ordered 3 pairs of khaki pants. And I was so proud of myself because I got through the purchase part of it and everything, And the trouble with my disease, with dementia, I got short-term memory. And a half hour later, I don't remember anything, or maybe an hour or something. So after I made this purchase, it was gone, And let's see, probably about 3 days later, the UPS man shows up. And he's got this great big box. And I thought, my wife, it was close to Christmas time. And I thought for sure she has bought me something amazing. I was thinking maybe a new Mac computer. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was nice and I knew it was expensive because I had to sign for it, and it was heavy. So I brought it in the house, and it was addressed to me, so I'm thinking, I'm going to open it. And I opened that baby up, and there was 30 pairs of khaki pants in the box. Now, like I said, timing is everything. So it was up to me at that point in time to get rid of these pants as fast as I can. Because even though I have dementia, I'm not stupid. That's what I tell a lot of people. So there's been a lot of things that I've done. Those are just a couple things that were quite amusing and didn't really hurt anybody. But when I was first diagnosed in 2010, I needed answers like everybody else does. That's what you're looking for, answers. And I found out there are no answers. I found that out. But I went to several organizations. I won't name any of them, but I went to several organizations on the internet, and I got on a couple message boards, and I'd type in something, a question, and I'm sitting there waiting on the answer, and there wasn't any, so I waited about 15 minutes. There still wasn't any. Then about a couple hours later, there wasn't any. And by then, I didn't even know what the question was, my short-term memory. So I thought, this is no good. We can't have this. And I knew about Facebook, but I didn't know, I was on Facebook, but not really, not daily or nothing like that. So I thought, why not start up a group on Facebook for patients, caregivers, advocates, and family members, so everybody's got a forum where they can talk about this disease to each other. I started up Memory People in 4:30 in the morning, Thanksgiving Day 2010, and I had a bunch of members. Actually, I had me. I was the only member. So I started recruiting people. I got a hold of a couple good friends of mine out in Arizona, and I'm like, hey, there's this new group on Facebook. It's called Memory People. What? I'm like, Memory People. What's that about? I said, oh, it's about Alzheimer's, and everybody's getting together and talking about this disease. They're like, gee, I never heard of it. And I'm like, I know. They're like, well, who's in it? And I said, counting you two? They said, yeah. I said, 3. But we was very successful. We have over 10,000 members now worldwide. And it's not because of Rick Phelps. It's not, trust me. It's because of each and every person that's on there. We have several people here from Memory People that I was so glad to meet and was able to have lunch with. And what they do for each other is something that no doctor, no neurologist, no caseworker can do. I mean, they talk to each other. My problems that I have with dementia, when I make a post, I mean, I'm very blunt. I'm very forward. I don't sugarcoat anything because I believe that the truth is a lot better than sugarcoating anything when it comes to dementia. It's a terrible, horrible disease. Everything's changed in our life. I tell people all the time, if you think you have enough money, think again, because I'm telling you, it's financially a hardship on everyone Before my diagnosis, I worked 2 jobs. My wife still works 2 jobs, and you can imagine how that makes me feel. She works 2 jobs, and I don't work any. My job is memory people, and I do it well. I like to think I do, and it keeps me busy, and it keeps my mind active. But it's very important as a patient that I have a self-worth to her and to my family and to the people I love and to the community. And every patient is like that. Even if they can't give or they can't do certain things. I was talking to a young lady a little bit ago, and she said that her mom's in a nursing home, and one of the things she does is she puts her clothes on all the time, 2 or 3 pairs of, sweaters and slacks and things like that. And some of the staff was trying to, they didn't think that was very good for her. Well, the truth of the matter is she's doing something, and that's all that really matters, I tell people all the time, are they safe? Obviously, that's kind of self-explanatory. Are they pain-free? And are they content? And if you can answer yes to them 3 questions, you got it made. You really do. People tell me all the time, well, Rick, it's going to be okay. It'll be all right. Well, no, it won't. There's nothing all right about this disease, and there's nothing okay about it, and there never will be. My whole life has been changed. I used to make life-saving decisions in a matter of seconds. Now I stand in front of my dresser drawer and I open it up, and it takes me 10 minutes to look at my socks. But it is what it is. You have to deal with it. I've been to many, many support groups, and they've all been excellent. But you have to remember that people need to talk to each other with this disease. We've lost some friends over this because they don't know how to react. They don't know what to say, how you doing, and things like that. And that's okay. I understand that, and I've accepted that also. One thing I wanted to mention, so I jump around a little bit, if you notice. That's because of the disease, but I wanted to make sure that everybody understood something that I go through, and I'm sure each and every person in here that has a loved one does this. But I have a routine, and it's a very, very positive routine. I do everything the same way every day. And if anything comes out of that routine, we eat dinner at 5:35. It's not 5:45, not 10 after 6. It's 5:35. She gets home about 20 after 5, and I have dinner ready, and we eat. Now, if we eat later than that, my whole evening is thrown off. It's just the simplest little thing. It could be where Dad always sits. Now we move him over here, and that can cause total chaos to people because it's a break in their routine. I know many times we've been asked to go out to dinner, and it's hard for me a lot of times to go out to dinner because people don't realize when you go out to dinner, it's just a simple thing, but what it entails exactly is choices. When we walk in, they're like, would you like to have a booth or a table? Would you like to have water or not? Would you like to have ice in your water? Would you like to have a menu? Would you like baked potato, French fries? It's just always, it's a constant thing. And choices, the simplest little thing to me, a choice is just, it's horrific. It puts my mind into stress. And a lot of people say, why is that? And I'm like, I don't know. It's a disease. A lot of times Phyllis will say, where do you want to go eat at? And I'm like, I don't care. No, where do you want to go eat at? And then it's like, Phyllis, it doesn't matter, because it truly doesn't. Wherever we go and eat, I get a cheeseburger and French fries. That's what I get. Now, we was out with some friends of ours, Roxanne, the other night. We went to a really nice steakhouse, and I ordered a steak because I didn't see a cheeseburger and French fries on the menu. But it's a routine. It's just what it is. And your loved one has a routine. You may not know it, but they do. And the simplest little thing can throw them out of that routine, and it can cause a snowball effect. Just the simplest little thing. I know I tell people a lot of times, they'll tell me, well, we can take Mom out Sunday for a Sunday drive, and she loves to go to the cemetery, and we'll ride through the cemetery. And now when we do that, she just goes stark raving mad. And I'm like, well, that's because she doesn't like that anymore. People change with this disease. What used to be is no more, is what I like to tell people. I was the life of the party, man. We'd go out and have a few drinks and shoot pool and listen to the jukebox, and I'd play music, and we had a ball. Now, if I'm around 3 or 4 people, it's like total, like I said, total chaos. I can't, when 2 or 3 people's talking, I can't keep them separated, what they're saying and what I should say and what I shouldn't say. So a lot of times I say, yeah, that's right, yeah. And I hope they don't say something negative that I should say no at, because I usually always say yes. I do that a lot with my wife too. And I keep telling her it's a disease, and it is in fact a disease. A lot of times she'll come home, or even in the mornings when she gets up, and we'll be sitting at the dining room table having a coffee, and she'll have a tea, and she's telling me something very important. And I just look at her. I know it's like a deer in the headlight look. It's just not registering. And then she'll say, well, let me break it down for you. And I'm like, it won't work, because I'm not getting it. I don't know why, but I'm not getting it. So that's not going to work at all. So we got past that. We got past the part that where she tries to explain things to me when I can't. It's just no good. And I love her for it. We've been married 31 years, and she knows me better than I know me. And I'll tell you, that has been a godsend for us. She knows what I like to eat, what I don't like to eat, and I'm colorblind, so add that to dementia, and you think that isn't a ball. I remember when I was in law enforcement, they used to say, they'd send out a bolo, be on the lookout for like a brown Chevy or something, and I'm pulling over green Chevys and blue Chevys, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm looking at them. So I found out I was colorblind on top of, now dementia, which is, colorblind is nothing when it comes to dementia, but everything indeed has changed in our life. I remember when the Alzheimer's Association, this is something I wish the doctor would have told us when I was diagnosed. We got the number, an 800 number for the Alzheimer's Association, and then people, they were a godsend to us. I called them on, let's say, a Tuesday, and they were at our house Thursday. I can't remember her name. Lauren, yes, I just love Lauren. And she was at our house, and she was there for over 3 hours. And she told Phyllis, she said, now listen, this will be a family thing, so we need you there, which obviously she was. And then we had our daughter and her husband there. And she went down line items one by one. And she said, first of all, everything's going to change. And like I've said this a dozen times already, because it's so important that you understand that everything is going to change. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, next week, but it will change every day. What works for me tomorrow may not day after tomorrow, and may never again. I remember her saying, you've got to do things together. You've got to, I thought she said take a trip to Hawaii is what I thought she said. but and she did clarify that. She said, I'm saying within your means, of course, you know. But it was so true. If your loved one, hello baby, if your loved one has been diagnosed recently, sit, good boy. And let's see, if your loved one's been diagnosed recently in the early stages, you want to do things all the time that you can, because it's so important, because one day you won't be able to do that. Excuse me, I'll give you a perfect example. I was fortunate enough growing up, I was musically inclined, you might say. I got hooked up with a bunch of people. We had a band or two and things like that. And the one good friend of mine, Dan Mitchell, he went on to fame and fortune in Nashville, Tennessee. He's a record producer, recorder, songwriter, singer. He's everything. I don't know. He does it all. And I can no longer, I have a couple guitars now that they're in a stand somewhere. Collecting dust, yes, that's what they do. And I miss playing music, but it's just something that I couldn't, it didn't stay with me. And I know a lot of people that has dementia are like, well, you know, mom plays the piano, and she still has, and she plays it even better now. But for me, for some reason, for whatever, I lost that ability. I can still strum a guitar, but it's not really what I could do before. So me and, like I said, we took a trip to Nashville, Tennessee, probably 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And we hopped in a car, and we had a couple of friends of ours go down with us. And all the way down, it was about an 8 or 9 hour trip down to Nashville. And all the way down, everything was fine because we was in our car, Phyllis was driving, and we was just having fun, talking. We stopped and ate, and we had a ball. And we arrived in Nashville, and we went to the house where a good friend of hers was letting us use their summer home or something. And as soon as we walked in that house, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And I was out of my routine. I mean, I was in a total strange house. I didn't know where the light switches were. I didn't know where the bathroom was. I didn't know what to do with my toothbrush. The bedroom wasn't where it was supposed to be. The ceiling fan, there wasn't even a ceiling fan. I'm like, Phyllis, where's our ceiling fan? But those things just affected me horribly. If it wouldn't have been for our friends being with us, we would have maybe not turned right around and come home, but it was very devastating to me. We did stay a week, and it wasn't good. I read on Memory People every once in a while that somebody's going to take a trip with their loved one, and I always caution them to make sure you know what you're doing and have a plan and have a backup plan, because when you load up your loved one and take them somewhere on a flight or whatever, and you get to the airport and they're not going to get on that plane, there's an issue then. It can go from 0 to 100 mile an hour in a matter of seconds, because fear and anxiety and all them things, when you're trying to do something right for them that they used to love to do before, that now may not be possible. But while we was in Nashville, I did get to talk to Dan, and we got to tour his studio and things like that. And we collaborated together on a song. We wrote a song together. It's called While I Still Can, and I had him do the music for me. And all the time we was down there, we didn't really even talk about the song. It was more about old times, how we used to, what we did as kids and things like that, which was very refreshing to me because I still have my long-term memory. Like I said, I can tell you things that me and Phelps Jr. did 30 years ago, but I couldn't tell you what I had to eat last night or lunch or today. And what's that?
It was a cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger and French fries. I guess it was, wasn't it? Yeah, we ate right upstairs. I had a cheeseburger and French fries. Why didn't I know that? Yes. Anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about now.
Oh, about the song.
Oh, yeah, we did the song, and it's been a big hit. I'm really happy how it's turned out. And this is so funny. I can no longer read. Let me explain this. I can read, but when I read anything over like 2 paragraphs, I don't know what the first paragraph was because of my short-term memory. So reading is out. I buy a lot of audiobooks now and things like that because I'm no longer able to read, and I'm struggling here for a minute. What am I doing here?
Talking about the song and how it came.
Oh, yeah. This is what I want to tell you. For someone that can't read, I come up with a great plan. I wanted to write a book. And my wife's like, are you nuts? And I'm like, no, I can write a book. I know I can. I was wrong. I've been wrong many times. But what I did was I got a hold of a writer. And he was in Florida. And I talked to him. And I said, listen, I want to write a book. And he's like, okay, I just finished a book. And he said, I'm on a book tour now. I can help you in January. And this was like, I don't know, May or something. And I'm like, well, thank you very much, but I'm not interested in January. I want it wrote yesterday. Time is my enemy. And it truly is when you have this disease, because I don't know if I could have done this book 3 months down the road or 6 months. It ended up being about 800 hours worth of recordings that I sent back and forth to this gentleman. He would put it down to paper. He would send back the transcripts via email. And being as I can't read, my wife, my darling wife, read the book to me like 5 times because I can't read. And we had to proofread it. That's what the word I was looking for. So there's many challenges when you have dementia, but there's also obstacles that you can overcome. And that was one of them. It was very important for me to write this book about dementia from a patient's perspective. I'd seen many books written from doctors that are excellent books. Lisa Genova, Lisa Genova, a good friend of ours that I've talked to many, many times. Everybody's probably heard the book Still Alice, and it's going to be on the big screen here sometime coming up next 3 or 4 months. And I'm so happy for her involvement in dementia. She's done outstanding work for, I'm losing it. I don't know what I was going to say, I apologize. This is what happens when you have dementia. You get a blank and you're thinking, what was I going to say? And I don't know. That mental block, yeah. Lisa Genova, she's a good friend of ours, and she wrote that book. And we have collaborated with her. And, oh, that's what it was. I told her, I said, Lisa, I want to write a book from a patient's perspective. I think it's very important. I didn't know I knew it had been done before, but I didn't know how many times. It was very important for me to do this book and talk about the struggles that we have daily, which everybody has those same struggles. I kept a chapter short for a reason, because a lot of caregivers don't have time to read books. So we kept the chapter short for a reason. And the book has been very successful too, and I'm very happy about that. Our coming out here, I've done maybe a dozen of these speaking engagements, I suppose, something like that, everywhere from Florida to New York City to out west, California, I think it was, or Washington State, something like that. And each time that I do one of these, it doesn't matter if I'm talking to a group of people like yours, or I've done many of them and talking to school kids. And I really like talking to school kids because they don't have a perception on dementia yet. They really don't know, because their mom and dad hasn't done much talking to them about it. And they ask, I'll never forget it, one little girl, she was, well, I probably will forget it. I don't know why I said that. I catch myself saying that all the time, and I'm like, are you kidding me? But it's funny how things, I remember this little girl. I don't know why. I remember her just like it was the other day. And that's probably been 2 or 3 years ago. But anyway, she said, excuse me, sir, excuse me. And I'm like, yes. She said, your dog, what happens to your dog when you, and I'm like, I know what you're saying. And I said, when I pass away, she said, well, yeah, I didn't want to be rude. And I'm like, Sam is a pet. He is a service dog, but he's a pet. And, of course, Phelps will take care of him if and when it comes to that. I wanted to explain to a lot of people that may not know how Sam come to be. He's a 3-year-old German Shepherd. I wanted a male especially because I had too many females in my life telling me what to do already. And he does that. He keeps me in line. When Phyllis June leaves, she knows I'm in good hands because of Sam, and you can tell. See, he's very alert. Hello. He's out like a light. He's like, Dad's doing another one of them talking things. I'll be okay. But what happened was someone on Memory People wanted to know about dementia service dogs. I didn't even know they had dementia service dogs. I didn't know nothing about it. So I did a little research, and I found an organization out in Southern California, and I posted on Memory People the organization and their phone number and things like that. A couple hours later, I get a phone call, and I don't usually answer phones, but it was from California, and I thought, well, it's probably this guy, and it was. So I answered the phone, and he said, Rick, he said, what is it exactly that's holding you back from getting a service dog? And I said, well, first of all, I've never thought about it. Didn't know they had service dogs, dementia service dogs. Didn't even know they had them. Second of all, I haven't worked for 2 years. There's a lot of things I need, but an $8,000 service dog is not even on horizon. I said, I love my wife dearly, but I know she would divorce me if she found out I bought an $8,000 dog. And she loves dogs. But there's a breaking point for everyone. So I just told him it's out of the question, but I said I appreciate it. And I said it wasn't for me anyway. It was for some lady on Memory People. I was giving her direction. Well, I'm going to say about 2 hours later, he calls back. And I almost didn't answer the phone because now he's starting to annoy me. And I'm like, hello? And he's like, Rick, he said, money's not an object. And I'm like, yeah, it is. He's like, no, money's not an object. He said, matter of fact, you're already a client of mine. And I'm like, how's that? He said, you have a anonymous member on Memory People that has paid for the purchase of Sam, has paid for his training, and has paid for your airfare to and from California. And I'm like, say what? And he told me again, and I'm like, wow, that's wonderful, but what, we can't do that. We can't accept that. And he's like, well, it's already done. It's a done deal. And I said, well, then I got to know who the donor is. And he said, no, that's out. She doesn't want her name brought out. That's not going to happen. She said down the road, maybe 2 or 3 months, when the training's going good, then you might find out. Well, I hounded him, and we did find out that it was a good friend of ours that we've known for a long time. Her name is Kathy Sly. And I love Kathy to death, both of us do. Anybody that's ever met her would love her. She's just that way. She was a huge dementia advocate. She was in charge of several dementia facilities in Michigan. And tragically, she died a year ago last month. And I miss her terribly. But she did donate Sam, and it changed our lives immediately. I'll tell you a little bit about this. I'm like, how am I going to get a dog from California to Coshocton, Ohio? And Bob said, what I want you to do is when you're outside cutting grass and things like that and you're sweating a little bit, I want you to cut up a T-shirt in about 4-inch squares or so and put them in a plastic bag and mail them to me. I'm like, okay. And he says, what I do with them, he says, I put them around our ranch. He has a 50-acre ranch or something like that. And he buries them, and Sam learns that scent, and he finds it, and that's how he knew my scent. He also had me sleep with a hand towel about every 3 weeks. I would throw a hand towel down and then lay on it and sleep on it a couple days, and then I would wrap it up and put it in a plastic bag and send that to him. And what happened was, when I went to Southern California with Kathy Sly, matter of fact, and I told the gentleman that was training Sam, I said, don't let him out until I get out of the car. And I got out of the car and I was standing there. He let Sam out and phew, the beeline right to me and sat right there. And he's like, and he hasn't left my side since. And it's amazing to me how he was taught my scent and to never leave my side and to watch out for me and things like that. But that's what these dogs do. He has been, I tell people that Sam has taken my stress level from a 12 to about a 3. He affords me freedom now. I'm able to go out in public more. Before that, I was a little apprehensive because fear is a big thing with this disease. I don't know why that is either, but it is. I'm usually cautious and afraid of a lot of things, and I'm like, geez. And he's alleviated all of that. He gives me confidence, and most of all, we're buddies. We're buddies. We go everywhere together. We do everything together, and I even let him do some things he's not allowed to when Mom's not there. It's funny. I won't tell that story. I'm pressing my luck. I'm not going to tell that one. But we've had Sam now for about 2 years or 3.
It was 2 in August.
2 in August. Sam's biggest problem is me, because I am a dementia patient. And I let him get away with a lot of things I shouldn't. And it's just the way it is. I remember when he was being trained, I specifically said, when you train this dog, he has to be ready to go, because I am not the person, I'm not a dog trainer. I'm not going to take him out every 3rd day and teach him to sit and do whatever. That's not going to happen. I mean, I'm not lazy. I just know it won't happen because I wouldn't do it. And he came fully trained, and I was thankful for that. And to this day, he will get me to any car that I was in. Not anymore, but we used to go to concerts. I haven't been to one for about a year now, but we used to go to a lot of concerts in the summertime, and it was always a fear of mine getting to the car because I wouldn't remember where it was parked. I mean, plus I had a few drinks and didn't even recognize the car sometimes. But we try to get to the car, and I'm always worried about that. And now that I have Sam, he'll take me in whatever car I just got out of. It doesn't matter if it's our car, somebody, if I'm riding with somebody, I mean, he affords me that. So when I go into Walmart now and I take a list with me and I'm buying things and stuff like that, I'm a lot more calmer and stuff, and I don't have to worry about going out and finding my car. And then I know oh, gee whiz, I about fell off the stage. I know what everybody's thinking. They're thinking, yes, you think you go to Walmart, so you must be driving. So let's just tackle that one. I do drive. I don't drive very much, and it's not because of dementia. It's because of my prior careers. In law enforcement EMS, you drive all the time, and I got tired of driving. So Phyllis June has drove 99% of the time for about the last 15 years. Long time. So this not driving to me is nothing new. It doesn't bother me at all. I drive, I would say, maybe once or twice a week, maybe 5 miles, maybe. I know to stop at a stop sign. I know what 35 miles an hour means. It means 45, 47. I pulled a lady over one time. Let me tell you, that's just funny. She ran a stop sign. She didn't even try to slow down. I mean, I didn't know it was a woman. I just knew it was a car. Didn't even bother to stop. So I get behind her and I pull her over. And I walk up the car. She said, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good." I said, you ran that stop sign back there. I mean, you didn't even bother to slow down. She said, "I most certainly did slow down." We used to carry what they call a PR-24. It's a similar to a nightstick, you know. So I pulled my nightstick out, and I said, "I'll tell you what I'm going to do." And I started tapping my hand. I said, "I'm going to hit you in the head with this, and you tell me whether you'd like me to slow down or whether you'd like me to stop." Less than an hour later, I was in the sheriff's office. You'd be surprised how news travels. He didn't think that was funny. And I said, "Well, that's something," because she didn't think it was funny either. But I thought it was funny. But anyway, I miss doing that work. I truly love law enforcement, and I truly love the EMS. I'll tell you a quick little story. This disease started with me probably 5 years before I was diagnosed. I've already said that. But in that 5 years, I continued to run squad and things like that. But I never had an issue in the back of an ambulance performing tasks, never, because that was in my long-term memory. It wasn't an issue, it never was. My problem was when they would page out an address or a certain road or whatever, I didn't know where it was at. I couldn't find it. And I lived there my entire life. And then the stress, it would just build from there. 3 times on what we call non-emergency transfers. That means someone's in the back, it's non-emergency transfer from the house to the hospital, hospital to home or whatever. On 3 different occasions, we had a patient in the back, and I drove by the street where the hospital sits on. The paramedic in the back's like, "Rick." I'm like, "Yeah, where are we going?" I'm like, "I don't know." And what scared me is, what if he would have been busy? And I don't know where I would have went. I'm just driving, man. I'm driving, And law enforcement EMS is a brotherhood. Don't let anybody kid you, because they really stick together. And I tried to tell people I work with, I'm like, "Listen, that is not normal." That is not normal. When you drive by a hospital, I've been to that hospital 10,000 times. They're like, no, it's all right, it's all right. Well, it wasn't all right, but they were enabling me instead of helping me. And my wife even done that many, many occasions. She's like, "I know the reason why you can't pay attention, you can't remember things." And I'm like, "What's the deal?" She said, "It's a man thing." It has to do with chromosomes or something. But finally, my doctor, we got to my doctor, and he did refer me on to a neurologist. He's a very nice man. And we did a bunch of tests, PET scans, and all kinds of blood work and all that stuff. And they did diagnosed me with early onset Alzheimer's disease. And like I said, it's been a struggle for ever since that day, and it'll be a struggle for a long time. But I no longer have a concept of time. I can tell time. I look at my watch and it says 5 o'clock and everybody's like, you're wrong. But I'm on Eastern Standard Time. So where I live, it's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's a song, yeah. Roxanne told me if I did good today, she'd take me out tonight. She did. Yeah. But I do. I've lost the concept of time. I can tell time, but 10 minutes could be an hour to me, or 30 minutes could be 3 hours or whatever. I just don't have a concept of time. I never know what day it is. I never know what the date is. I ask my wife probably 10 times before she goes to work, what's today? Everybody has a reference point. Like if it's Sunday, you know it's the next day is Monday because you got to go to work. Yesterday was Sunday, you didn't have to work. Well, I don't have that reference point. That's what I try to explain to people. It's sort of like if you're lost, they say, look at a map. Well, a map's not going to do you any good if you don't know where you're at. You got to have a reference point, and I don't have that reference point. And I'm thinking that maybe a lot of your loved ones probably doesn't anymore either. It's very, very difficult. There's a lot more of this disease than just memory issues. There really is. It affects everything I do and everything I've done for a long, long time. But I've learned to adapt. I've accepted this disease a long time ago, about 5 years ago now. And the reason why I accepted it, because I didn't have a choice. I know a lot of people that's in my shoes, early diagnosed or even maybe mid-stage, that haven't accepted this disease, and that's okay. You know, I mean, everybody's got to do what everybody's got to do. But I truly feel sorry for them because I want to tell you something. This disease is going to progress whether you accept it or not. And when I say you accept this disease, that doesn't mean you've given up. I haven't given up anything. What it means is you understand what's happening. You understand what's coming, and you have a plan for that. And then you have another plan, because chances are that first plan isn't going to work out. That's what you have to do with this disease. The day I was diagnosed, we ran to an elder law attorney about maybe a week later. And we already had a will and things like that, but we had everything changed. We put everything in my wife's name. And I hope to this day she doesn't divorce me because I don't have nothing. She's like, you think I'm going to take everything? I am, because you already give it to me. What was I thinking? But we did that because of finances. And I remember I was telling someone this story yesterday. It's kind of cute. My cousin has severe diabetes. She's lost half her leg and she's about blind, things like that. And I was taking her out to what we call Job and Family Services in Coshocton so she could get some aid and things like that. And while I was out there, I thought, well, why don't I apply for some aid? Why not? I haven't worked for 2 years. So I was telling a lady, and she had me fill out the paperwork, and I did all that. And I'm like, well, here you go. And I'm like, what happens now? And she looked at that, and she looks at my wife's history and stuff, and she says, oh. And I'm like, what? She's like, well, your wife makes too much money. And I'm like, really? You want to call her and tell her that? Because I don't know anybody that makes too much money. So we didn't get any. Yeah, we didn't get any financial aid, and that's okay. That's okay. But what happened was we went to, like I said, I worked 2 jobs all the time for many, many years, and my wife still does. And when you go from 2 jobs and they're completely gone one day, it's very traumatic. It's, you know, I will admit that I have a lot of toys. I've had a lot of toys for a long time. I've had a bunch of motorcycles, a bunch of guitars, a bunch of things like that. And this disease took all that away from me. I can't buy things like I used to because we just don't have the finances now, and you have to make changes. And that's a big change for us. It really is for me because I love my toys. But I know we can't afford it, you know, so I don't do that anymore. It is 10 after 4, so I would like to ask if anybody has any questions they would like to ask me. I am more than willing to answer anything anybody has that I can. Because sometimes you want to know something about your loved one, but you don't want to ask them what may be going on with them. And I would be more than happy to answer any and all questions. Yes, ma'am.
Any of those medications for Alzheimer's?
I am.
Let me repeat. Can we repeat the question?
She asked me if I'm taking any medications for Alzheimer's. Right now, currently, I am on the Exelon patch. The doctor didn't put me on Dementia, and he hasn't put me on Aricept or anything else because he tells me it's too soon, and I believe my doctor. That's what you have to do. You have to have confidence in your doctor. For whatever reason, I know a lot of people's on Aricept, I know a lot of people's on Dementia, and I think I should be too, but he doesn't, so that's what I go with. I take, most of my medication deals with depression and anxiety. That's the number one thing with this disease. You deal a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety because it's really anxiety driven. And even as a caregiver, I mean, stress, sometimes, a lot of times the caregiver dies before the patient, because it is more than a patient disease. This disease affects the whole family. So, but to answer your question, yeah, I'm on the Exelon patch. Anyone else? Oh.
Have you noticed any decrease or decline in your memory?
Oh.
Since you first diagnosed, and
Yeah.
does it happen like overnight?
Her question was, do I notice any progression in the disease, and is it sudden or things like that? And I get this question a lot, and no is the answer. It's not a sudden or anything, but I have progressed immensely. I know it's hard for people to believe. They're like, gee whiz, he's up there talking. How's he do this? He got dementia. He shouldn't know anything. But the fact of the matter is, I can do these presentations. I did stammer and stutter around a little bit, and that's the disease. I lose in the middle of a sentence. I'm like, what was I don't know what I was going to say. And, but 5 years ago, I could read. 5 years ago, I was pretty good on my phone. Right, thank you. The concept of time, I didn't have an issue with that. Right now, the biggest thing I struggle with right now, besides the dementia and the general day-to-day living, is recognizing things. Is that the word I want? Yeah, recognizing things. It's funny, I say it's funny, it's not funny at all, but say a TV remote. We got DirecTV, and everybody knows what that looks like. And I can look at, if I look for the TV remote, it can be laying right there where it's supposed to be laying, and I don't recognize it. I have a hard time seeing things and understanding what they are. There's just not, I'm not making that connection now for some reason. And it's not always a TV remote. I just said that because it's a good, I have trouble with keys. I lose my keys constantly, and I can see them, and it doesn't recognize. This is another thing I tell people about dementia. You will know. A lot of people ask me, how do you know you have dementia, Well, if you misplace your car keys or your wallet or something, that's one thing. But when you have your car keys in your hand and you don't know what they're for, that's another thing. And that hasn't happened to me yet. I know what car keys are for, but I know a lot of people has went through that. It's very pronounced. It's different. Picture yourself when you're sitting around a group of people and you hear this song, or you talk about a song, and you're trying to remember who sang it, and nobody knows, and it just drives you absolutely crazy. You can't think of who wrote that or who sang that song. Well, that's how dementia is, except it's all the time. I can't think, I look at the refrigerator and I'm like, wonder what's in there. It's just crazy. I go from our dining room to our front room, and I don't know why I'm in there. I knew I was going to do something, but I don't know, because it's that short-term memory. I want to mention this too. A lot of people tell me, well, write down a note. Notes are good, Well, the misconception of that is, here's what notes do to me. If you go from, say, summer to winter, and you get your winter coat out you haven't had on for 6 or 9 months or whatever, and you reach in a pocket and you find this note, and you're like, what the heck does that mean? Well, that's how a note is to me. I could wrote a note 15 minutes ago and see it laying on the table and pick it up, and I'm like, whoa, I have no idea what the note's for. So it just doesn't work. There's no easy fix, is what I'm trying to say.
Yesterday, told a little bit about Sam and how he helped you in the kitchen.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm not allowed to cook. And it's a good thing because I burn up a couple pans and it's very dangerous. So I'm not allowed to use the stove. But I have dementia. And when my wife goes to work, I'm hungry, so I fix me a cheeseburger or something. Since I've had Sam, this is what he's trained to do. He will lay in front of our stove when I'm there by myself with him. And I turn the stove on. He lays right in front of it, which is very annoying because he's a big dog. But it's to let me know, hey, the stove's on, you know. Now, what he does, if I walk out of that kitchen for any reason, he will go absolutely crazy. And it scares me to death every time this dog does this. But it's an alert to say, hey, the stove's on. And he's probably saved our house from being burnt down. Well, I know he has, several times. And you will never find a more alert dog than this. I want to tell you what, he won't miss nothing. Unless, of course, he's asleep. What, hon?
Tell him about the patch, what he does.
Oh, the Exelon patch. Yeah, I take an Exelon patch. And with this disease, like I said, about recognizing things, my Exelon patch box is right on my side of the bed on my dresser, and it sits right there, and I know to take one every day, every night, put an Exelon patch on. But it doesn't happen, especially on Saturdays or whenever Phil's sitting there, I forget. So what Sam is trained to do, it just amazes me today. If he doesn't see me take off the Exelon patch and open up another one and put it on my shoulder, when I lay down, he's going like with his nose. And I don't know if you're familiar with German Shepherds, but there's nothing more annoying than a German Shepherd doing this. Yeah, you. So he does remind me about my medication. And but mostly what he does is what people can't see. You know, I wouldn't recommend a service dog for everyone because it's not for everyone. Obviously, you got to be in the early stages, perhaps. Excuse me? Oh, I thought somebody had a question. Yeah. And but he's been a godsend. He's been a godsend, and I wouldn't trade him for the world. I just he's my buddy.
Last comments, maybe? Do you have any last comments?
I want to thank everyone for being here. When I go to these things, I've spoke to a bunch of them, but I personally feel that each and every one of you are here because of me. Not because I'm here speaking, don't get me wrong, but because I have dementia. And it means the world to me to see people have an interest and be here and learn all they can learn and do all they can do. Because my life depends on caregivers. And that's my wife. And she's my wife first, she's my friend second, and she's my caregiver third. But it's very important. Caregivers, if something would happen to her, would be devastated. I mean, everybody would if something happened to your spouse. But I worry about that a lot, having this disease. And I surely, truly want to thank each and every one of you being here for what you do and what you bring to this disease. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, man, we're going to do a take first, and then we'll record it again. And this would just be a rough of how it goes. Sometimes yesterday can seem a million years away, and I'll forget exactly what to say when asked about my past. Time is my enemy. That's why I'm living for right now. Tomorrow's just too far to think about. My heart only knows one task. Well, I still can. I'm gonna hold my babies to my chest. Thank God for all the ways that I've been blessed. We live each single day from bad to best. But I still can. I'll try to help my loved ones understand how memories can fly like grains of sand, and that I'll remember them while I still can. Don't ask me to decide which way I want my road to turn. My God, by now I thought you would have learned I will follow you on faith. And when I fall asleep, the darkness and the demons steal my dreams of how things were and how they still could be in a sweeter place. But I still can. I'm gonna hold my babies to my breast. Thank God for all the ways that I've been blessed. Relive each single day from bad to best. But I still can. I'll try to help my loved ones understand how memories can fly like grains of sand, and that I'll remember them while I still can. Choices, decisions, frustrations, and pain, knowing I'm going to forget her someday. While I still can, I'll challenge all my loved ones, every friend, to look inside their hearts and understand that I will love them. I will love them while I still can.
All right, Ricky, that's it, brother. There were strangers in there, and when we did the playback, they applauded. First time that's ever happened. And they said they didn't know you, but to tell you they love you. And I do too. So I hope this is good for you, brother. I love you, and I'll see you later. Thanks.